also have on the line. Is one of my friends from Rankin Technical College, so he's going to have some technical insight, I'm sure. Isn't that right, Jason? Gavin, I'll shoot it over to you. What happened to Facebook?
So the day after we talk about Facebook, they clearly were listening. Facebook simplified its privacy controls. I guess following the user's requests that they wanted controls that were simpler, easier to use. And now if you go to Facebook privacy, you'll see something that's thoroughly different. I don't know if we can show this or not, Bryn.
Let's just say no, because the lab is completely broken again tonight.
That's fine. So if you go into your Facebook account, you can go to privacy settings, and you can see a much clearer view of everything that you keep public and private. Jason, do you use Facebook? What do you do for privacy? Are they all on everyone? Shoot, I just dropped my phone. Friends.
They're all on friends.
For this revamp of the privacy controls is that they're promising they're never going to change our settings again to where we will have to go back in and change to friends only again. That seemed to be one of the biggest gripes that everybody had this last.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the way it should be. It should be opt in, not opt out. But for some reason, they decided to change it, and hopefully, this new version of the privacy settings will be clear to users. I think, again, back to what we talked about last week, I think most users don't really understand the privacy settings. They just go with the flow. Facebook does have like updates. Like with this new update, they put a little, when you logged into Facebook, you had a little thing that you had to click to make it go away. So I guess users kind of do understand, but I feel like in general most don't or don't really care.
But it's just another thing they have to click on, and then it's gone, and they never think about it again.
Exactly. Good old Microsoft ActiveX.
Fun times.
All right, so I guess we've beaten Facebook to death.
Well, we beat them. They specifically because of us went and changed their policy, obviously.
Exactly. So what else is going on in the tech world these days? I feel like the big story today, or yesterday at least, is that Google, the company Google dumped Microsoft Windows as an option for its employees to use on a daily basis on their work computers. What do you think about that, Braden?
I use Mac at work for almost everything, except for Lotus Notes, which there's a Mac client, but all the servers are Lotus Notes.
You use Lotus Notes at WashU.
Still use Lotus
That's hilarious.
Notes.
I've never used it. I hear it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's not great. Use, I guess, Linux for their Windows needs and stuff. I'm assuming all their servers are running on some form of Linux.
Probably. They probably have so much specialized or personalized software that they made themselves.
Look at the chat.
I'm sure they have no need for Windows.
Barely audible.
Apparently Jason's barely audible. Yeah.
Jason's barely audible. He's loud on our end, but I can fix that.
It's very interesting that they're switching to either Linux or Mac. A lot of people think it's because of the Microsoft licenses and the cost of their licenses. I heard one source said they have around, was it 20,000. Yeah, 20,000 Windows licenses that Google buys every year and has to pay for the license agreements. Obviously, obviously they have deals and things like that, but it is interesting to note that it's a large portion of Windows users that won't be using Windows anymore.
That probably will not kill Microsoft.
Well, that's kind of interesting. So Jason, if you had to pick Mac or Linux to use, or what do you use on your desktop? Did you already say? I mean, I personally use Windows on my laptop. I use Windows 7. I think it's great. But I kind of I personally stick with Windows just because I know it so well. I feel like anytime I try to switch to Mac, I don't know what's going on, and I would just have to invest that time to get to know it. You know.
There is, and I can use this as a segue actually. As far as ease of use goes, I'm probably still better at Windows, yet I prefer Mac. Just for Final Cut Pro,
that doesn't
really.
make sense.
It does, but
it doesn't make sense.
Well, installing Synergy, it's mainly a programmer thing, and the fact that when they wrote the program for Synergy, which I'll talk about here in a second, I'm using it on the computers behind me. It's one thing that's actually working tonight. But whoever coded the program Synergy for Mac then didn't do half their job, or it's still in beta mostly. But, okay, so program talking about Synergy. I have 4 different computers on behind me, but I can still only use one mouse, which I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see the mouse. But I'm using one mouse and keyboard for all 5 computers. One of them's off the shot. It's just our music computer. But it's a great program. Go check it out. It's our download of the week or whatever we want to refer to that as. I'm sure that phrase has been used to death, but it's a great program if you have multiple computers on a desk, much like I do here.
It's
real
open
estate on the desk. Yes,
it's open source, right?
Open source, free. It's good times. Had by all.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. That it comes down to what programs are useful to you on the platform. Like there's certain, I think many programs though nowadays are both on Windows and Mac. Are there any? What are notable exceptions to that?
Notable exception: Final Cut Pro.
Final Cut Pro.
Only on Mac.
Any game. Anything
yeah,
fun?
basically all games. But you have Steam that came to Mac now. That's a big thing. That's a step in the right direction for gaming on the Mac, I think.
The new Call of Duty is dropping Steam, just FYI.
The new Call of Duty? Which Call of Duty is this? Fan of being able to just set up my own server. We won't mention why, but you know, LAN parties was always a fun time, setting up own servers and stuff, and not having to mess with Steam the entire time. Gavin,
Right.
You've been to a LAN party?
I've been to a few LAN parties. Generally, I'm not a gamer. I'm really like an outlier in that sense. I do like when I get into a game. Back in the day, I kind of like played it for like a week, like 24/7, and then I would just drop it. Yeah, that stuff always confused me I was just trying to install things at LAN parties. Braden just told me what to do. So
That's true.
yeah, but Mac, I think in general, I think I would do Linux though.
Linux over everything else. I tried installing Linux on a couple of these boxes, and it didn't work. Neither did Windows, though.
Like Ubuntu is now like extremely user friendly, or at least I hear. I haven't installed it recently. They just came out with a new major release.
It's not Feisty Fun. It's the one after that. Lexi Links, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm gonna go with that.
They just go through the alphabet, right?
Yeah, and animal names with an adjective. There was a program that I didn't give enough time, but it was an actual. It was a Linux-based computer, but then it had video editing software built into it, and I'll have to look that up for next time. And I might have to look into using that for the 5th computer here for doing actual recordings of these, because I knew it had potential as far as an editing program was going. It was set up, pretty much like Final Cut and Adobe Premiere and everything, and it showed promise. I have to look it up now to remember what its name was.
Mm-hmm.
What's our next story there?
Well, I mean, I think an interesting story we were going to talk about that has to do with the kind of the gaming aspect is how to get a game-obsessed teenager into coding. This was a Slashdot article recently. Braden found this.
Yes, there wasn't really much of an article to it. It was more or less somebody crying out, trying to get people to give them an answer as far as how can you get a gamer into coding. And then I was unaware that Slashdot's comments were as bad as Dig's, because I started reading through them, and they're
I think
horrible.
that's impossible to be as bad as Dig comments.
Well, there are worse comments than Dig's, but still, it's, yes, coding too there.
Code complete.
How did you get into coding, Gavin?
Well, I just brought this.
Being a non-gamer.
I knew we were going to be talking about this, so I brought this prop. Yeah, I'm a non-gamer, so this doesn't really apply to me. Oh, wow.
Did you find money, or what'd you find?
Keepsakes. Looks like a scorecard to a mini golf place. I don't know what this means, but this is the book. I don't know if you two have read this or not. I haven't read the whole thing, honestly. It's pretty thick, but this is coders tell me that this is the Bible for learning how to do good coding practices. Things like commenting. Things like
Is that specific language, or
it's general languages. It's kind of just
all code?
topics. Yeah.
Jason, being the person that got
this past spring called Creating Virtual Worlds. They take half coders for the class and half like art and design students, and they put them in one classroom and team them up. I was one of the coders, even though I didn't know how to code that well, or I guess game coding really. And we used a game engine called Unity. Have you two heard of this?
Nope.
I have not. I did not hear about this. I did not know about it before my class. It's actually a really good kind of. It's just an engine to create games, virtual world games.
Okay.
A lot of it's written you can write either in C# or JavaScript.
Is this how a lot of those online, like kind of World of Warcraft clones are being written and stuff on that?
I would think so. I think so. There's probably others out there. I don't know if it's easy to write a networked game, but we wrote a single person game, shooter game, fairly easily. It gives you the basic tools of kind of how to. It kind of gives you the basic tools so you don't have to build from scratch, right? It's got a basic third person view controller type things, and Basically, you just write your code above what they already have there. But
Mm.
Unity would be a good solution. I don't know if that was on this website.
As far as the amount of coding, is there a lot of coding that goes into a game, or is it very little more art than code? Or
There was a decent amount of art. We had an artist on our team, so they would create the kind of character mock-ups and game objects in like Maya or 3D Studio
Okay.
type thing.
I've messed
could-
with Maya. Haven't gotten too far into it, but just
Yeah.
for the mere fact of
I've
playing
never
with
used
it.
it. It sounds like it's crazy though.
Yeah.
And you could import that into this game. I'd say we probably did, I don't know, over 1,000 lines of code, maybe, but under 5,000 probably. We did a lot of work like making a lot of the work was put into creating the artificial intelligence, because you've got your people, but you need to program
NPCs.
like how they interact, right?
Right.
And we had enemies, so we needed to program how they get between rooms and things.
Okay.
Because if you think about artificial intelligence, if you've got an enemy and you say, "Oh, I want him to chase my character," he'll just run into walls, right?
Right.
So we had to create like a waypoint system to like figure out where to go and stuff. It was really complicated. I didn't do any of this. This guy who was very much smarter than me on my team did it, but it was really, really interesting. That's where a lot of our coding happened.
But how do you get a person that's going from the couch with a controller to sitting in front of a computer hacking away thousands of lines of code? I don't think we have an answer for that. I think that Slashdot article really failed as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned.
I think you need to start at the basics. Maybe you can put your input here, Jason, but you need to start at the bottom. You give them a copy of QBasic or Basic or whatever, and give them a Windows 7 compiler. I don't know how that works, but that's how I started. Or maybe nowadays you give them a copy of Python, or you give them or you show
Python's
them.
pretty old. That's
Yeah.
a really old end language as far as I'm concerned.
No, Python's still being developed though.
Okay.
I think
It's open source, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So
That's
you,
why
I mean,
it's always being developed.
yeah. So you have them start with Python, or heck, have them throw together a website, and then they get the basics of programming down. And at that point, they can get into Unity and some of these other like gaming environments, I guess.
Jason, do you remember when we first learned batch scripts way back at Rankin? Like, the funnest part of that was learning just how to screw with each other.
Right. And then we learned how to.
That was the one that we kept getting everybody to send to, right? The "you are an idiot" on albino black sheep. I remember it now.
Right.
And basically all that did was start up a MIDI file and keep opening windows. And it was more or less a competition to see who could get that program to run the most on somebody's computer, as far as I can remember. And that was our first beginnings with coding, is just, well, we learned our lessons.
Bash files.
Yeah.
Interesting. Windows batch files, which aren't possible anymore at Google.
It's true. Nice full circle there. We got any other stories on our delicious there?
I don't think too much. Have you guys been following this iPad and all the iPad competitor stuff at all? Do you have an iPad, Jason?
I do not. I haven't been following it. My boss has. I'm not really in the market for anything of that sort.
I feel like it seems like a lot of people are. It's very. The iPad in general, to me, is very confusing. As Braden is jumping on this, this is freaking me out. No one expected the iPad to be able to create a market like it did. I mean, they were essentially creating a market because it's not competing directly against netbooks. It's not competing directly against desktops. And now it seems like that's the new space to be in. There's a lot of products like the Lenovo Slate, is it, Braden?
Yep. You're going to have a bunch of new Slate's all running an Android version of basically the iPad. It's just Google's version.
Yeah, that was the latest story. The latest stories have been that the iPhone/iPad sales, I guess more specifically iPhone, have kind of tapered off a bit compared to Android sales, just because Android is in so many other places in the market, like at Verizon and with other companies, that Android's really going to overtake the iPhone OS.
I heard it already has,
Yeah,
but
Wouldn't they? I mean,
I don't know why they didn't open it up from the get-go.
okay. Being told the audio is lost when we switch to you, Jason. I'm gonna have to fix that. Continue on, guys.
But yeah, the Android OS. I'm Leo Laporte, we're kind of copying his studio here,
Emulating
dearly.
dearly.
The HTC Evo, I believe, is it Evo, Brandon, or is it the?
Yes, the Evo is the new one out for Sprint, I believe.
He said that's the best phone he's ever used in his life. So it's better than the iPhone. It's better than anything. So Android is really coming up quick here.
And then the new iPhone that's coming out is supposed to regain some of that market share, the 4G one.
Yeah, with the front-facing camera. Do you think that'll change how we communicate, Jason?
Quite honestly, no. We're not quite there yet.
You're not going to be walking down the street with a phone in front of your face, pointed at you like this.
Well, I guess never say never, but probably not.
I bet you it'll happen. I'd do it. As far as Skype calls and stuff like that, that would be great.
But why would you want to? I don't want to see anyone's face.
I do. I want to see everybody's face when I talk to them because I want to know if they're in the bathroom or not.
Speaking of that, the only face I've been able to see this entire time is mine. Am I supposed to see somebody else?
No, sorry.
Okay.
I don't have that capability yet.
Okay, fair enough.
You can go to the Slim Productions website. Just make sure it's muted.
Right.
I thought he was going to say, speaking of which, I'm going to the bathroom.
I'm actually in a very fancy bathroom right now. It would be lovely pictures if that was your bathroom, Jason, but I know that's not yours.
Kelsey says, I can hear this guy loud and clear.
Interesting. Well,
Thanks,
I did have
Kelsey.
to switch his audio. When I switched to that B shot, it was switching the audio out. So, more technical fail on my end, I tell you. There's
So-
a lot to work with.
Very
we
cool.
lost the camera, too. I don't know how to fix that.
Whose camera? My camera?
My big one here.
Oh, man, that's an issue.
That is an issue.
All right, so any other tech news we need to talk about, or are we going to wrap this
we're
up soon?
probably pretty close to wrapping up here.
So you should tell us about the updates to the studio before we head out here.
For the updates to the studio, well, okay, we do have 5 functioning PCs now behind me that can kind of be seen in this shot. Synergy's all installed on here. What else do I have on my? I redid all the wiring and kind of cleaned it up so this place isn't a giant rat nest. We have this third shot, which you're all seeing right now, which was just added. This is being done off of a Canon HG10, which only has high definition outputs. That's why it's been black and white, because I only have standard definition inputs right now. Got to buy that TriCaster.
Yes, TriCaster.
That'll
Speaking
set us
of
over the top.
Speaking of TriCaster, if you want to sponsor our amazing show,
Yes.
free money, we would appreciate it. Just send that our way.
We'll be all kinds of gracious and praising and stuff.
But no, seriously, Braden's done an amazing job with this studio. I'm pretty surprised at everything he's done here. So
We're getting there. It's slowly but surely it will continue to work itself into a functioning place to do these podcasts at.
definitely.
Hey, most importantly, when's the barbecue?
When is the barbecue? That's a great question. It can't be this weekend because we have the 48-hour film festival, which I was going to talk about last night, but Slimcast didn't happen. Sometime, well, you're getting married, Jason. When's that happening?
June 26th.
It's a good month to get married. I know a few people, like my parents.
June 26th. Why did I not get an invitation, Jason? I feel
Didn't you just meet tonight?
yes.
Send me your address.
I'm not coming.
He's moving to Chicago.
Fair enough. Quick RSVP.
I'll probably be in Africa.
All right. Yeah, that's a bit of a flight.
A little bit. Are you gonna Skype in from Africa? We gonna get that capability?
I'm told it's like 5 cents a kilobyte
Awesome.
to go through my cell phone, so I think that would add up pretty quickly.
Probably so.
Where are you going in Africa?
I'm going to South Africa mainly for the FIFA World Cup, so that should be fun.
Gotcha. We looked at doing our honeymoon in South Africa, and they said World Cup was coming, so I nixed that.
Dude, no, that's a reason to go.
It's also the reason everything is inflated multiple times,
Yeah.
cost-wise.
That may be true. That may be true. Well, if you
There's
still
some
want to go.
horrible jokes there that can be told. Let's not go there.
All right, we better wrap this up.
Okay.
So, again, thanks for watching, everybody. My name's Gavin Raycumber. You can find me on gavinar.com or twitter.com/gavinar.
Jason, where can they find you?
Pontoon Beach.
Pontoon Beach. That's where we can find Jason.
Just going.
And-
That's right.
I'm on Twitter at Braden H. That's the only place you can find me. That's all I want you to find me at.
Tune in next time. I don't know. Just watch this website, I guess.
Watch this website. Watch my Twitter feed. We'll continue to make this show even better with your help. A little bit of me. A little bit of you. Gary Vaynerchuk, I am not. Adios, everybody.